The People of Yarmouth County video series, made possible through the Department of Communities, Culture and Heritage's Forward Fund, focuses on our region of Yarmouth County and some of the communities and cultural identities that encompass it. We wanted to showcase one of the most important parts of our community, our people. The stories told in our 6-part video series are excerpts from longer interviews conducted by the Yarmouth County Museum and Archives staff. They are stories of both the past and the present. They are memories told by the people of Yarmouth County. Some of the stories are funny, some are sad, and some will make you think. On behalf of the Yarmouth County Museum and Archives, we'd like to say a very special thank you to all the participants who took part in this project. We loved hearing your stories.
My name is Leland Sret, and I'm an Aboriginal spiritual leader. I'm a member of the Métis. I guess that's what I do, identify. I was a member of the RCMP. I retired back in 2003, and then I've always been involved for the last 25 years in the Aboriginal ways, and became a spiritual leader. I'm a pipe carrier of the sacred pipe, and I conduct ceremonies wherever and whenever requested by different people, different groups in Nova Scotia and Canada, in the United States. So. Unfortunately, I had to leave the RCMP because of post-traumatic stress after 18 years, and so at that time I had a lot of time for reflection and what was happening, and I guess I was led to the spiritual part of it, and the proper teachers, proper elders and stuff like that were, I guess we were put on the same path, and I did get a lot of teachings, to be able to be a pipe carrier. So that, being a pipe carrier demands living a life of truth, no drugs, no alcohol, and being truthful in all that you do, all that you say, and also living your life with respect. And in the Mi'kmaq, we have a word that's the Emsit Nogama, and it means all my relations. So it means my relationships with you, with everything around here. So, and when you live your life with respect, there's no place that you've been that you cannot return. You know, so but the demands of the pipe, people I'm just the caretaker of the pipe. The pipe belongs to the people, and they can call for prayers or ceremony, whatever. And basically, barring any emergencies, I have to go. So the pipe becomes first and foremost in my life. So that's the calling that after getting all my teachings, it took me 2 years to say to the pipe, okay, I'll accept your demands, because it's something that you don't go into lightly, because it's something that you do for life. The Aboriginal culture in all has just had a revival in the last 30 years. So it's something that was outlawed at a time by the government, where they couldn't celebrate their ceremonies and their gatherings and all that stuff. But in the late 70s, early 80s, it started coming out again, and it was allowed. So then, what was remembered by the elders at that time has started to be woken up in the people again. You know, so it's always it's a teaching. It's teaching people what, learning the ways and passing it on. So yeah, it's it's more positive now than it ever was.
Okay.
Yeah. Canada 150. It's another milestone. Like I remember as a child celebrating the 1967, and what I think for me, the 1967 was kind of a bigger celebration, and I'm not sure if it is because I was young then and as a child and it impressed me more, or but I didn't find that the 150 celebrations were maybe as huge as the 1967s were. But again, it's good. Canada is one of the only countries that has an Aboriginal Day, which is going to be in Indigenous Peoples Day from Prime Minister Trudeau announced that this year. The name will change to Indigenous Peoples Day. But we're the only country that sets a day aside for us to celebrate that day, you know, and to be proud of who we are, to be able to show our culture for the First Nation, the Métis and the Innu. So it's a very, very big move, and we're very, very lucky to have, you know, a country set aside that day for us to celebrate.
Yeah.
I guess whenever I'm out there is that I encourage people to ask questions, because and people sometimes think, well, that's I don't dare ask that, or that's just kind of not a good question or something. But I really want people to ask questions, because that's how you learn, you know. And the more truth you put out there, the less misconceptions you're going to get. So, yeah, getting educated more, you know, and asking these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was born and raised on Sret's Island. I now live in Morse Island, which is just the next house over. I guess when you're raised in a place, home becomes home, and there's roots and family, and so, and being outside of Yarmouth. Yarmouth is not a big town, but I prefer the country, and you don't have, you know, after 10 o'clock at night, there's not too many cars that pass by my house, you know. So yeah, it's tranquility in the.
Yeah.
Well, you can get involved. There's different. We have different gatherings and powwows and whatnot. You have to have an interest in the Aboriginal ways and culture, whether it's in your bloodline, or you know, or you're just interested in the ways that the Aboriginal ways, you know. But sure, attending, you know, the gatherings and the powwows and whatnot is a good way to start.
Okay, my name is Paul D. Tufts. I am Acadian on my mum's side. My mum is a Como. You want me to say who we represent here? I represent.
Yeah, absolutely.
An Acadian Métis association called the Association des Acadiens Métis Soriquois. I am a founding member of that association back in 2007. I am past president. I've been for a 4-year term, took a bit of a recess as demanded by our constitution. I came back for 2 other years, and we're in 2-year blocks, like, you know. So I decided that it was time for me to give my seat to someone else here in March. So I guess I'm still a director and past president, and I'm on the genealogy committee of that association, receive the memberships and so on. Well, way back in 2007, we had an Acadian student that was very interested in Aboriginal things. She was studying to be an Aboriginal lawyer. She was working for the Congress of Aboriginal People. At that time, the Congress of Aboriginal People was making a study of what they called the Pauli criteria. In 2003, the Supreme Court of Canada heard a claim of Métis having rights under the Constitution of Canada of 1982, Section 35, a right to hunt for food. So they won their case. So the Supreme Court established criteria to indicate who should be the qualifying community to have these rights, the same as what the Pauli had had. Now, this student that I mentioned, working for the Congress of Aboriginal People, at that time, they were working on the Acadians themselves as maybe fitting these Pauli criteria. There's been court cases that kind of deny things, but it's still what started us all off is the student that brought the Congress of Aboriginal People down to University St. Anne's to meet the Acadians that they felt would fit these criteria. And the sad thing was, at that time, there was no association that represented specifically the Acadians as Métis people. You'll have one. We're going to form one. And that's how it all started, yeah. There was associations here before in the Yarmouth area, but not one that was specific to the Acadians. To join our association, you have to have Acadian ancestry plus Native ancestry. So we are unique in that way, yeah.
Wow.
Just by significant, Dr. Phil says that everybody has 5 pivotal people in your life, you know. There's your parents, of course, and then there's this hero, Leland Sret. Very significant in my life. And to me, it was always Mother Nature. We were a large family of 15, and I liked to get away from the rumbles of the house, and I either went to the shore, to the seashore, to the marsh that was behind my house, or to the woods that was nearby. And I did that from the time I was very young, even to the point sometimes that I was scared to be there alone, but I'd go anyway. Amazing. So I suppose that's what has significance to me. I have a brother that's kind of the same way. He's moved away from the seashore and he has to come back to the seashore. That's part of him, you know. Yeah. So I don't know if that's what you mean. Well, that it's a very big part of our history of who we are. Maybe that's the misconception touch again, in that the Acadians have really struggled for their identity just as an Acadian because of the deportation, because of discrimination that way. And they struggle very much for that pride, for that identity, for recognition by government, that many of the words in the Acadian dialect are Mi'kmaq. A lot of the Acadians don't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they are. There's about 60 words. I can give you an example of some.
That'd be amazing.
And then some Acadians don't even know that. They think that's the word. Porcupine in French is porc-épic.
Yeah.
In Acadian is madouas.
Okay.
The needles,
Yeah.
Les aiguilles de porc-épic. In Mi'kmaq it's cowitch. We use that, cowitch. Birch bark, écorce de bouleau in French. Mashqui in Acadian and Mi'kmaq. Owl, hibou in French. In Acadian it's cuckoo-wesh. That's very Mi'kmaq.
Okay.
A lot of them relating to animals, a lot of them relating to the environment, like a bog. In French it's tourbière. In Acadian it's makok. You go to O'Meara's Hill, you see McCook Road.
Yeah.
Well, that's what that means. That's the bog road, McCook, and that, it comes from Mi'kmaq, Mkook, M-K-O-O-O-K, Mkook, yeah. And there's many, many words like that. A loon is huar in French, which porters call it a quimo. An eider duck is idar in French. In which port, they call it mouac. We're going to la chasse au mouac. We're going hunting mouac. Guegus, that's a narrow spot between two islands, or a narrow piece of land between two lakes, or whatever. They call that a guegus. It comes from the Mi'kmaq word meaning narrow, Gigi-guegus, yeah. And they only use the last part, guegus, Publico, what do they have? Quaganish. That means a harbor with two entrances. They use that. And what's his name in Wedgeport? Chebeg. There's Mandy Chebeg. That's a narrow spot in the river. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
that's where Quebec comes from. Quebec, Chebeg. Close to the same, see? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of it.
Well, that's really interesting. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Now, the one expression that amazes everybody, in French they use the little exclamation "no," N-A. Now, look at that. Now, where are you going? No, qu'est-ce que tu fais? No, where are you? No. I mean, it's just to draw attention to something. And it's a Mi'kmaq word. You can't find it in the French dictionary.
Yeah.
But we use it every day in our language. No, that's so. Now, look at that, It means now there, now, look at that, yeah. The baby food, nanan is Mi'kmaq. Mam, for mère in French is mother. Mam, that's Mi'kmaq, for mother, Oh, geez, I don't know. I've named quite a few there.
Yarmouth County Museum and Archives recognizes the support of the province of Nova Scotia. We are pleased to work in partnership with the Department of Communities, Culture and Heritage to develop and promote our cultural resources for all Nova Scotians.